Today is Erev Pesach 2016. We are very happy to be at Donna and Ken's house in Merrick, and we have a new addition to our family. We have to say Mazel Tov to Ron and to Annette. Mazel Tov, all of them. Good luck and many, many, many years to begin in good health and happiness. Ask a question.
I am told that before you make a speech, you're supposed to try to make a joke. And I would like to have one, see how you guys like it. There was two friends that graduated college and they met 25 years later. And the one guy that had a hard time with his schoolwork became a millionaire. And the other one that was helping him with his homework was struggling to make a living. So he decided to confront him to see what happened. So he said, "Say, Joe, can I ask you a personal question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "When we were in college, you couldn't do math, you had a hard time with algebra, with trigonometry, all of this stuff. How did you make all this money?" He said, you know, I still have a problem with that. When I got out of college, I invented me a little gadget like this. And it cost me $1, and I sell it for $3. And he said, "You are surprised how the 2% profit adds up." He still couldn't add it. So coming back to the serious note, again, we are very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to be here and to do the Sedar. You want to give me a Sedar book, or?
Would you like to tell some of your own personal?
What, honey?
Dad, would you like to share some personal experiences?
Oh, sure.
We'll do the Seder at the table.
I have a different book for you, Bobby.
Okay.
Adam has a book for you.
I have books for everyone. It's called
Hey,
Escape from Mesopotamia.
you did all that
I did
already? You did all that?
It's
Look at the
your
back.
book, Dad.
About the author.
Thank you.
Recognize that guy?
I sure do.
It's only the first draft though, right?
This is the first chapter only?
No, the first draft. It's all the chapters.
Oh. Wonderful. Let me give
Bobby,
you a-
Dad,
You're the
you
best.
told Adam that you wanted to see it in a book, and he made it into a book for you.
Yeah,
Great.
have
You
wonderful.
know, I-
Thanks.
Thank you, Adam.
I have to text Steve and tell him.
He
Yeah.
has it. He has.
No, but tell
No.
him, I text him a picture.
You know,
So, Dad, can you turn it around and say what's happening in this picture?
is this
so-
picture?
No, this picture, this
Right.
picture, the front cover.
Yeah, can you say?
This is the Sousa family. And it was taken, I think, in 1935 or 36.
Oh, anyways,
What?
this is Freddie. Freddie
No.
was born in
No.
43.
No,
No,
this is
Mom,
Danny.
that's Danny.
Danny?
Freddie wasn't born yet.
Freddie was not in this
Sorry.
picture.
Okay.
Freddie.
Dad, show which is you. Which is you?
Show the camera, Poppy.
Me, I'm in the middle.
This is Dad,
That's Dad.
the little prince
That's
here.
Frankie, Doris,
How about that collar?
and Danny.
This is
This
Auntie
is-
Doris, who lives
Oh,
in
it's
Israel.
strong. This is my favorite picture.
This is Uncle Danny.
That's a great shot. Yeah.
This is Danny, he was probably 2 years
This
old.
was taken on the dormitory, near the dormitory door in John's house.
And that's how he became a young man when he
Yeah.
came to America. Good looking
On
young
the
man, I
other
might
side,
add.
Dad.
Really?
A very good looking young man.
Yeah.
Very handsome.
You show the camera?
Adam,
Yes, Poppy.
Adam.
Yeah.
I gotta give you another hug. You did a nice job.
You sure
Nice.
did.
You sure did.
Your follow-up skills were incredible, Poppy. He called me to make sure that I've been working on it. He wouldn't let it go without it.
Thank
It
you
was
very much.
important to both of
Were
you.
you in touch with Steve? Because he
No,
really,
Mom sent me a bunch of pictures.
Is there photographs here?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
paragraphs, there's part one,
No
part two.
photographs.
there is.
Yeah, there are pictures.
There's a few. See?
In
You
the
don't-
next edition, we can put some more.
You're gonna see it. It's already in the next book.
Okay.
You know,
There will be another one?
We can
well,
make a
it
next
would be
edition.
maybe 5, 10 more pages.
We can add that.
Yeah.
And,
So,
Not
Mom
ready for
and
next
Dad, maybe
publication.
you can share some of your favorite memories of this holiday and
Well, we used to prepare getting ready for Pesach from Purim, which is 40 days, a month difference. We used to have a big room up on the second floor. And this was all the big baskets, so when they bake the matzah, they put it in the basket and they cover it. They had all kind of stuff just for Passover. They take everything out of the kitchen and they move the stuff for Passover into the kitchen. And we didn't have a bakery and we didn't have Pathmark or ShopRite to go shop to buy the matzah. We used to bake them at home. So my father used to go after Purim, he used to go buy the wheat. And he brings the wheat home and we sit, my mother, my sisters, and the cousin, my aunt,
this I
and we sit
remember.
and we look at every grain of the wheat, that it doesn't have anything chametz. And then when it's all done, my
Inspection.
mother takes over to inspect, the last inspection. Then he will take it to a special Jewish Orthodox mill. The guy will mill the wheat and he will bring the flour home. Then we had a woman who will come and bake it. So the family, like my cousins, my aunts, everybody will come and they will start to count the minutes. It has to be 18 minutes. My father used to stand with the watch to see it's before 18 minutes. After 18 minutes, they cannot use it. So I was the littlest in the family, and they wanted to keep me quiet. He went and he made a special rolling pin that I gave it to my granddaughter, Ariel. Ariel has that pin. And I used to take the piece of dough and play with it. I do it slowly, slowly, slowly. They didn't count on me to bring anything worthwhile. All of a sudden, they saw that my matzah was very thin and very nice, and they all liked it. So they started giving me all the matzah that is not very thin, and I'll finish it. So I got the A's. And so the next day, we'll go, the same woman, she will go to my cousin or to my aunt. Then my mother and me and my sister will go and help them. So that's the way it used to be. Every house will bake their own matzah. So you can imagine the hardship. They used to make the silan, the charoset, at home.
Can you say what that is?
The
How you
silan,
made it?
it's made out of dates. And there were different kind of dates and different type of flavor of the dates. So this one want this kind of dates, this one want this kind of dates. So everything was done at home. We had no manashevets, we had no rokich or whatever, strides. Everything was done at home. So this is my memory.
What is
night-
the recipe of silan?
Oh, they used to boil the dates with a little water. And then they used to squeeze it by hand. Then they put it in cheesecloth, squeeze it, let it drip all night. And that's the way it was, the silan. They put it on the fire very low until it thickens and it becomes silan. I have a good memory, and I think Donna might remember. I used to make all the sedars in my house, and his family used to come, and mostly his family. So one night, it was Pesach, the night before, I decided I'm going to finish making the silan at night. I was 2 o'clock in the morning in the kitchen, and Donna woke up, you remember?
Mm-hmm.
She woke up and she said, "You are still up?" I said, "Yeah, I am still doing. Do you want to come and help?" She said, "Yes." So she held on the silan in the dates, and it was dripping, and she started squeezing, and it went all over her arms, so she started licking this way, and she finished it, and she
Did
did.
she lick her fingers?
She was a big help. So we used
That's
to
why
do.
silan was very precious. You couldn't buy it in the jar
No, you can't.
like you can now.
No, you can't.
Every drop was a big deal.
A big deal. Everybody was looking for that special silan. So afterwards, the neighbors usually are all Jewish, and they would sing the Haggadah songs. And this one stayed, they will next day. I stayed till 12 o'clock in the morning at night. No, we finished at 11:30. The other ones say 10 to 12. So they compare. And when they sing loud so the other neighbors will hear. So it was a community affair, not only a family affair. And it was really a very happy childhood. It was really a happy childhood because of the
I remember how you
community.
made the agala to clean
That's
the
right.
silverware also.
If we didn't have enough silverware, we used to boil the water, and we call it agala. And they boil it and boil it and boil it to make it ready for Pesach. So we used to have dishes, pots, pans, everything is like having another house. For that reason, they used to have the upstairs room. This was all year closed, just for Pesach.
And you put a stone in the water, right?
Yes, you put the stone to make sure that it is boiled.
Donna, are you planning to record the
The Seder,
Seder, yes.
yes.
Dad,
And
do you
you
read
know,
it?
Mom being such a balabusta who made all the holidays and kept such a beautiful Jewish home for us, I also remember that every Shabbos you would sing Eshit Chayil to her.
You would what?
You would sing Eshit Chayil to her.
Oh, I would love
Would you
to
like to
Can
do
you
that?
do that, Dad?
I would love to.
Can we do
In
that?
fact,
Do
yes.
it all together.
Yeah, we do it all
Let's
together.
do that. You
Another
wanna lead
thing-
us, Dad?
Yeah, another thing before I forget. The matzah, we used to roll it by hand. It was going like this, you know, and then it's rolled by hand. And afterwards, there is a special tool that you spread it. And so that you can stick it onto the oven. It's a
Now, there was an earthen oven,
earthen oven.
and it has inside, it has a hole for the bottom, so
For
the
the air to come in.
to come in.
What do you mean by an earth oven?
It was a
Clay.
tannoor,
Tannoor, they
A
used to
tannoor.
call it.
and they used to take the matzah after it's all rolled on a special little pillow. And the baker will take it and she rubs her hand with the
Let me have
schmothers
this in the
so she
back.
doesn't get
Hello?
burned, and she takes it and
What do you
she
want?
sticks it to
Behind
the
you?
tannoor.
Just
No.
this.
It was
Sit on
an earthen tannoor.
Oh.
It's not an oven,
They
it's a
used to,
tannoor.
they used to put the matzah on top of this
A pillow.
and go into the oven and
The tannoor.
and stick it.
It's an earthen
Huh.
tannoor,
And then it will cook by itself.
Wow.
and it peels. Then she peels it.
And
We take
here
it, we put it
nowadays,
in the
there
basket.
are Arabs. There are Arabs in this country. They have this type of oven.
Wow. Did you want to sing the Eshit Chayil to Mom in
Sure.
honor of all the work she did keeping a Jewish home?
And for you too, yes.
Thank you. I took the baton
For the
from the best.
for the last 30 years.
That's right.
Jane is here.
Would you like to lead us, Dad?
Yes.
You want to sing it?
You want to do it here?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's go.
do it. Let Dad.
أشت حايل ميم صح رحوك لتنين
Bala v'shala lo yasa kemalatu tov v'lo ra kol yamei chayeha darsha semer ופשתים ותעש בחפץ כפיה הייתה כאוניות סוחר ומורחק תביא לחמה ותקום בעוד לילה ותתן טרף לביתה וחוק לנערותיה זמה שדה ותתקההו בפריך אביה נת הכרם
הגורה באוזניה ותאמן זרועותיה תמקי טוב סחרה ולא יכבה בלילה נרה ידיה שלחה בקישור וכפיה תמכו פלך כף הפרשה לעני וידיה שלחה לאביון לא תירא ביתה משלת כי כל ביתה לבוש שנים מרבדים עשתה לה שש וגמן לבושה נודע בשערים בלה בשבתו עם זקני ארץ סדין עשתה ותמכור וחגור נתנה לכנעני עוז והדר לבושה ותשחק ליום אחרון פיה פתחה בחוכמה בתורת חסד על לשונה סופיה הליכות
Hatzlot Lot Lucher Kamu Baneha Ve'asharuha Bala Yehalela Rabot Banot Asuhail Ve'at Alit Al Kulana Sher Keren Leyofi
Sharat Adonai Titalal Tenula Meperiadeha Hallelujah B'Sharim Ma'aseha.
This is the Sephardi way of singing it. This is the woman of valor to honor the wife every Friday night.
And every Friday night in our home growing up, my father led us in that in its entirety, in honor of my mother and all the work
My
that she
father
did.
used to sing this for my mother every Friday night.
And so did my father too.
And we kids used to follow through.
Everybody, all the kids knew it.
Yeah, everybody. And here in the Jewish center where we're staying, we proposed to do this, introducing as something Sephardic. And they said, okay. I went to the rabbi. I asked him, there were 20 members in the synagogue that attend the services. I said, I need 20 copies of this baracha. You know, he made it for me.
You have it?
Made it for me. We passed it around, and we were singing it every week. And there was one lady, she is
Ashkenazi.
Polish. She is what?
Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi. And she,
She sang it in Yiddish.
Oh, wow.
And Manka, she is a Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
So she sang
she
it
said,
in
oh,
Yiddish.
we used to do that in when she was in Poland.
All the Jewish people used to do it, no matter what. They all, every Friday night they did it. They light the candle, they start the Shabbat dinner, and this is what they start with.
I remember
Every
there was a song Yosef would sing, Arur,
Arur, Baruch Baruch. This is the blessing that Abraham gave to Isaac. So this is, it's all
And one
history.
thing for sure, no matter what would go on during the week growing up, coming home from school on Friday, the house always smelled special.
And
There
clean.
was always a beautiful meal on Shabbat.
And you have kept that tradition.
Yeah, thanks to you.
And
Miriam.
Donna, okay.
Except
And
I haven't
Donna
been able
did
to
the
sing.
same thing.
Except I wasn't able to do the beautiful singing.
It's okay.
Never too late.
No, they pay me.
pick it up.
They pay me not to sing. But we did come home to a beautiful home on Friday nights with a beautiful meal.
You know, in a busy world with busy people, it's the only time we really sit at the table together.
Yeah,
And
most
it's important.
families.
It's, I mean, I don't really take a firm stand on much of anything, but I like that one time in the week we are together for a meal.
Yeah, this, in this country, this is it.
Everybody's-
It's, so what is your memories from you guys growing up in my house and Maurice's house, in our house?
That's a memory.
Dad, do you have any stories you'd like to share about coming to America?
I have a bunch of stories that I selected to put one at the beginning of each chapter. I think there's 22 chapters to the book.
Would you tell us a little bit about your family in Iraq and your birth order and what
About
was
our
expected
family,
of you?
sure.
I would like to say that we went to a Jewish school. I went to the Girls Alliance School, and he went to the Alliance Boys School. And it was a wonderful education at that time. Even for that time, it was high education. The high school was equal to 2 years of college. And it was a beautiful, beautiful school, literally a gorgeous school. I have a picture, maybe we should put it
And
here.
you learned how many
Yeah.
languages?
There is one.
We learned
Show the camera, Dad.
There's one.
Dad.
We learned Hebrew, English, French, and Arabic, 4 languages. And I don't remember much of the French, but I do understand it. And it was a simple life. People lived within the same area, and there was friendship, there was love, there was. Now we are all scattered, unfortunately, everywhere. And people, the woman is working, the woman is very tired in this country. Overworked, really, they are overworked.
How about the guys?
How about at
The
home?
guys worked over there too. But the wife,
No, the wife, you know,
the
what the
woman
guys
is
did?
very
What?
overworked here.
What did the guys do?
The guys used to go to the cafe and play backgammon.
Totally.
Totally, all day long.
And
sounds
eat
like-
pistachio nuts.
Oh, that was
That's
fun.
stuff.
Good stuff.
Because the woman did the work. You know, they took care of the kids. They took care
You
of
see
the
what you are
house.
getting into?
I'm listening.
So what was
Not
your
the-
role as the oldest son in your family? What was your role and what was expected
My
of you?
role, well, I figured when I came to this country,
And you were how old?
I was 22. And I saw what happened there
Can you describe it?
about the Shafiq Adas, you know, there was, do you
Well,
know? Do you know
he was the man who was hung.
Shafiq Adas is?
Yes. Well, there were a lot of
Yeah,
hanging.
but he was a very prominent man.
Exactly,
in
very,
Baghdad.
very wealthy. He was a friend of the king, and nobody stood,
King Faisal,
no. The second,
the second.
and he went to ask for help from the king. Nobody would help him. They hanged him
They
in
were
his
afraid,
backyard.
even the king was afraid.
What were they afraid of?
The riots would go against them.
Because he had a relationship with this man,
He could help him.
Yeah.
so he wouldn't help.
And the reason why is in 1948, when Israel became a state, all the Jews became enemy of the state because they called them Zionists, they called them,
Because they won the war. You know,
so they didn't like them, and they started coming to Jewish people's home, take the husbands, and you never see them again. There were a lot of killing, there were a lot of, they take their money, and the kids were not being able to go to colleges. They couldn't go back to work. There was no future. So luckily, there was a man by the name of David,
Sassoon.
Hillel.
Shlomo.
Shlomo Hillel. Shlomo Hillel left Iraq before Israel became a state, and he became in the government when Israel became a state. He went through the government of England, and he made a treaty with the Iraqi king that they will help the Jews get out because they won't give them passports or visa to leave. So he intervened through the British government to the king, and they declared that any Jew who would like to leave, they can put their name down and they can go to Israel. For 3 months, anybody who decided to leave to Israel, they put their name down. After the 3 months, the jalopy plane started coming. The planes had no seats like a regular plane. They had benches, so they can accommodate more people that had no seat belts, and the benches were moving, in the air. You never know what will happen. Anyway, after the 3 months, everybody left. The government declared, froze all the assets of these people. They cannot sell, they cannot go to the bank, pick up their money, they cannot do anything. Their money is gone.
They cannot make a living.
So there was no future. Their children cannot go to school. It was like the time of the Nazi in the 30s.
Dad,
So they
would you
decided
mind
to leave.
telling us what was going on for you when you came to America and what it was like for you to leave your whole family?
What, honey?
What it was like for you when you came to America alone, when you had to leave your whole family? Can you say what that was like for you?
I see myself very, very fortunate. At that time, my father was also in the real estate business, and he sold a piece of property. He closed his eye and sold it, and so he had a few dollars, and he gave me money to come here. He sent money to Israel. He sent money to Doris.
She was already
he
living
sent
in
money
Israel.
to Michael, Frankie. He took care of all of us. And Frankie, this is Frankie.
Right here.
No, Frankie
No.
is this one.
Oh, right.
No, this is Frankie.
Okay. The one
This
next to Grandma.
Yeah. And Freddie is not here. He was
wasn't
born in 43 because this picture was taken 10 years earlier. I have another picture with himself, with his. So we were among the very fortunate. We had our troubles, and we had to get out. There was hey, Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chag
Good
Sameach.
Shabbos, Hag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
This is the greatest country in the world,
America?
America. America the greatest.
And he,
You kind of ask him questions as time is going.
Oh my goodness.
So, Dad, how did the decision happen that you left alone and you came to the United States to go to college? How was that?
You good?
How did that happen?
there was no question about that decision.
That's a dream
There
come
was
true.
absolutely no future for us.
There was no future.
I was at college age, and I had to leave.
Was there more expected of you because you were the oldest?
I was the oldest. I
Because, no, meaning that your responsibility to get the family out of Iraq.
nobody asked me, nobody said anything. I took it upon myself to do it. And it was the right thing to do, is the humane thing to do. And I salvaged my brother Nanny, my brother Freddie.
And you got grandma out eventually.
Grandma
too.
had a hell of a time.
Can you say quickly what happened to her?
Yes, you want to know? She found herself stuck. This is about 1970 or 72.
I think it was 1969
69.
when she arrived. I
She
was
left
9
in
years
68.
old.
No, she came
She
here
left in
in
68.
59 to come to our wedding.
Right, but I never met her until I was a child.
She went back.
Right.
She went back.
And then in 58, 68, she left.
It was a miracle she was able to get out.
I wanted her to leave earlier to come and take care of Danny, that was not feeling good at the time, and Freddie had her son to be a mother for them, and she opted to stay. And then they completely closed the borders even. She couldn't get, and she was quarter crossing to go to Iran.
I have a chapter in the book about the story of that part.
Ron, maybe you can tell that story that Grandma shared with you about her experience in jail?
When she was in prison, she said that she quickly learned that the Arab woman who was at women's jail, and that the woman who was sort of the warden of the prison, an Arab Muslim, was very superstitious. So Grandma made herself useful to her by claiming that she could read her fortune from the sediment in the Turkish coffee cup. The woman would like to have her brewed Turkish coffee, and when it was finished, there would be sediment at the bottom of the cup. And she'd put the saucer on top of the cup and flip it over, and the sediment would fall down to the bottom. And after a little while, they'd take the cup off, and it would form a pattern, little rivers and so forth in it. And she would hold the coffee cup with the sediment and the little lines in it, and compare it to the lines in the hand of the woman. And she would tell her that she could read her fortune and tell her what was happening. And every day, she would add a little bit more to it to make herself even more and more valuable to this very superstitious warden woman who held the ability to make her stay in prison hell or tolerable. And by,
Tomorrow I will cut your
She
neck,
made a
she
friends
used to
with
say
her.
to her.
yeah, she said, I'll cut your neck tomorrow, but today you're okay. So a day at a time, she was able to survive by telling this woman's fortune. And I remember her telling me this story, and I said, do you really know how to tell fortunes? And she looked at me and her eyes twinkled. And she looked and she said, Ma'andak shol, which is Arabic for, are you kidding?
You have no brains?
She just made it up as she went along and made herself survive. So it was a good example of how someone found a way to, out of being uprooted from her own home, being away from her family, trapped at the border in prison,
Widowed, away from her children.
to survive. And she had a remarkable attitude. I obviously didn't know her until she came to this country. The life that she had left in Iraq was long over. But she had a wonderful attitude, a very happy person to us, her grandchildren. And I can see where Dad gets the good attitude from.
What do you remember, Donna, from your childhood?
So
Do you
much.
remember my mother? I don't think you do.
Of course I remember
You
Nana.
do?
Yeah.
I know around
Well, I
that.
was, I think 3.5 when she died.
No, 5,
Was I 5?
Yes.
What year did she die?
65.
65. So I remember that she didn't speak English.
Right.
And so I would communicate with her in Arabic, which was my first language, because Nana spoke no English. And when she would come to our house, she would sleep in my room. And I actually, one of my very first memories is I was still in a crib, which who knows how old I was, and her bed was right near it. And I had a dream that there were snakes underneath my bed, and I woke up very frightened. And she leaned to me and asked me to try to comfort me, and I told her, Nana, aku hai bacharpaya mali in my bed. And she reached over to me, and I remember her stockings, the way she was wearing her hair was very long, but she always wore it in a big bun. And she reached her arms to me so that my feet wouldn't touch the floor, because she knew I was afraid to touch the floor because of the snakes. And she brought me into her bed, where I very happily spent the rest of the night next to
Yes,
her,
That's a nice
cuddled with
memory.
her.
That's a no. What is your memory, Ron?
Oh, many of them. I remember the mulberry tree that you called tiki.
Tiki.
The what?
Tiki.
A mulberry tree.
Yeah, the tiki
The
tree.
tiki tree that grew along the side of the house near the bathroom.
Right.
And from that second story window, we would reach out of the from the bathroom window, we would reach out and pick the mulberries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we'll take a break, and you want to start the Seder? Is everybody here?
No, Alfred.
No. Oh, they're not here yet.
Oh, yeah, great, you see.
What can I do to help?
Is that what? Stinky.
Great to see your mom and dad. Yeah. It's great to have them. So easy.
Park around the corner. I never saw this parking situation like this on this lot in a long time. Please tell me it's like that. What would you do like? What would you do last time?
Okay.
We have grape juice right over there.
We have to ask mommy first.
You want some grape juice?
Yes, they can.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
You want apple? You want?
Apple's good.
No, this is grape juice.
No, there is
sorry.
apple in
But
the
this is
fridge.
light.
There's apple in the fridge. I'll get it.
That's good, that's good.
That's
Yes, Zach. She's gonna give you apple juice.
Should we all wave at the camera?
There's the camera's there, Zach.
Look what we got for you, Zachy.
I would
Apple juice, just for you.
Thank you.
Is he prepared? He's ready?
He supposedly is ready. He said.
Okay.
He said he doesn't have to practice.
So,
He knew it last year too.
But I don't know, we have a lot of eager prompters.
That's not true.
Zach, are you ready for your job
So-
tonight?
You better.
Zach, you have to wait. They say Kiddush, then it's ready.
I don't have my pillow.
Yeah.
Rachel,
Where is my
does
pillow?
he have anybody in his class, the last name Neely?
Neely. I don't think.
Do you have anybody in your class whose last name is Neely?
Zach, Zach,
I think he
can
is.
you bring me a
Maybe
pillow?
there.
Bring me another room?
Do you know the name of the child? If you knew the name, you could ask that because he knows all the kids in the class across the hall too.
I've been down and gone.
Right now,
Leave it,
there's
Ziggy.
like, I guess like
Ziggy?
46.
Oh, nice.
There's two classes, and then for
Thank you.
kindergarten, I think they expand up to 3 or 4 classes.
I touched
Good
it.
job.
Ziggy,
Read
leave
it
it.
like it.
I love this.
Zachary, can you get him this Poppy a pillow too, just like you got for me?
Neely
Yeah.
has a bar mitzvah next year.
Ziggy,
She's
hey.
so excited,
Leave it. Buddha?
really,
Yeah.
very, very excited, the first child, grandchild.
Okay,
He's
so,
still in the city?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the Heschel one is. Now I'm putting it together. Yeah, 'cause that's where, the son lives, on the west side.
Yeah.
Them too.
They put another apartment.
Okay, I think
Okay.
we're ready.
And they made it
So-
into one.
Is that good?
So they have
so,
bedroom. So whenever
Sure.
they want to go, they come to their bedroom.
so first of all, I am thrilled and honored to have everybody here, and welcome to our home, welcome to our Passover Seder, and welcome to, as Evan says, I'm reading my notes from 2002. So I was going to ask you if you guys remember what I said, and it was years ago. I thought it was only
always
10 years
remember.
ago, but it is really 14 years
We
ago.
always remember everything you say, Kenny.
Okay, so Jane is going to be the first person to know what is the most frequent number in the Haggadah, Jane?
18.
Anybody want to question?
4.
And why is that 4?
4 cups.
4
of
cups.
wine.
Four
sons.
4 sons,
Four questions.
4 questions.
Entitled to 4 cups of wine.
You can have 4 cups of wine.
Four seasons.
4 seasons. So, first of all,
4 times 4
The
minus
apple
6.
juice.
so
4 cups of apple juice.
we don't have any prizes this year for, right questions.
We do have an afikoman.
We have an
present.
afikoman, we do have a
We
birthday
have-
present, maybe, but we will see. But we do have something very special. And what we really have that is our present is everybody being here.
Yes.
And that really is our present. And
Give you a hand. All right.
it wasn't bad. Okay. So, we are thrilled to be having, what was that? What did you say?
Hungry.
Yeah, no. The more hungry they're going to be, if it wasn't that Uncle Ronnie is hungry, so I'm concerned about him. You guys can wait. You're my boys. You can wait.
Uncle Ronnie's hungry.
Right. So, very, very seriously, I am thrilled that my in-laws are here.
Yes.
Nanny and Poppy, who have really guided the family and taught us so much on how to continue with the traditions. We are thrilled with our newest addition with Annette and Ron, so mazel tov and congratulations. And, they say that Kensington, Lincoln freed the slaves and Stein put them back on. There's no question, without a doubt, that my wife has been feeling like a slave, doing all of the work herself, and really, none of all of this could be without. And this year, without a doubt, Ariel did help out. I did help out also. I did food shopping. Of course, I went to the wrong supermarket, but it was in the right town.
So, I look at these notes from 2002, and it says how different the world is 1 year later. And it's really was, I don't know if anybody remembers what occurred in 2002? Ron?
Year after
2000, are you talking about?
9/11.
So, right, so in 21 days, our country set free the Iraqi people. And not one missile was fired. And that's, you know, really quite incredible that not one missile was fired at Israel. So it's really the question is how do we stand up individually and as a nation against all the tyranny that really goes on? And if you think about the miracles of this world, to think that we as a Jewish people are still around is the biggest miracle going. Because we are really we're just not that important in this world as in numbers. And it's incredible that we have survived all these years. So, back in 2002, we saw a movie called Pianist.
Yes.
What?
Pianist.
No,
Pianist.
What kind of movies were you watching?
Am I not saying it correctly?
You had young children.
They said that they lost everything. They lost their homes.
It's a Holocaust movie.
It's a Holocaust movie.
Nanny was so embarrassed. You tell him that. Dirty lines.
Did I say that right?
You did fine.
Perfect.
So they said that they lost everything. They lost their homes. They saw their families killed by the Nazis. And they came out still believing in God. So the question really was asked, how can they still believe in God? And you know what the answer was? Come on, you guys should remember this from 2002. It's only 14, 15 years ago. The answer was, thank God they didn't make me into a Nazi. So they were grateful for what they had. So this whole Passover Seder is really about freedom. And that's why it's my favorite, because we really should be grateful and appreciative of everything we have. I'm certainly grateful and appreciative and know that we're all blessed to be living in an incredible country, to be able to have the freedom, to have the Seder, to have the lives that we live, to be able to practice our religion in freedom, and to really be able to live the lives that we want. The question really is, are we shackled with our possessions? Are we really free? Do we have free thoughts? And free doesn't mean doing whatever we want to do. Freedom means that we live and respect and appreciate what we have. But there's always limitations to what we really have in freedoms. So the Seder has 15 steps. We're only going to go through a few as what they symbolize. So you guys all should know these answers. So we're going to ask Zachary, you know what the karpas is? The little vegetable? Karpas.
Yeah.
Do you know which one that is?
What color is karpas?
Green.
Green.
Good.
And so it is the this little itty, I don't know if we have any on our Seder table, but it's this tiniest little vegetable, and we bless it because we realize how much work it takes to make that vegetable to be here. And that's part of, you know, our freedom to be appreciative of everything that we really have. So I don't know if anybody has any special thoughts tonight about this. We have the APAC Haggadah supplement, I think,
Thanks to Ron.
Ron. So, do you want to tell us about it?
We did it.
We went to,
We met Natan Sharansky, by the way. He wrote this right here.
Is this what they're using in the White House tonight?
He was there and we met him.
the most amazing, interesting part of the APAC was not meeting and hearing the presidential candidates or meeting with the other Jews. The most amazing, meaningful part of APAC was interacting with the non-Jews. It was just absolutely fascinating, really seeing what was going on.
I want to just add one other thing. This woman on the second page, Eleanor Borenstein, is the daughter of Eddie Jacobson, who until that day, I had never heard of who he was, but it is a phenomenally interesting, fascinating, and just fortuitous story because it changed history. Because President Truman had no interest in meeting with the Prime Minister.
Well, what had happened was that this gentleman, what was his name?
Eddie Jacobson.
Eddie Jacobson.
This is Eddie Jacobson's daughter, told this story.
So he was very, very poor. He had to quit school. He would go to the bank and work in his family's business in the middle of maybe Indiana or Nebraska, actually in Nebraska. And he would go ahead every day and make the small few deposits to the bank teller. And sure enough, guess who the bank teller was? Harry Truman. And they became best friends like two brothers. And that friendship started a business called Jacobson and Truman. And they made hats. And unfortunately, during the recession or the depression at that time, they went out of business. He went back into farming, and Harry Truman obviously went into politics. And they became separable, but they were still best friends. And Harry Truman became president, and everybody knew that they were still friends with this Jew. And when the war was over, and Israel wanted to become a state, and he wanted not to be involved. Truman did not want America to recognize the state of Israel.
So Chaim Weitzman came to America and wanted desperately to be able to meet with Truman, the president at the time, to speak on behalf of Israel, to advocate for its support. And Truman said, I don't want to get involved.
What year was that?
Let's see.
1947. So what happened was they called him up at night and they said, you must go see Harry Truman. So he went to go see the president, because obviously he could, and the president goes to him, you never asked me for anything, what do you want? And he says, I want you to meet with him. That's all I want you to go do. This is so important, just take the meeting. He turned around his chair, he gave it some thought, and then he says, okay, you son of a bitch, I'll meet with him. Well, that's what he said. And
his elderly daughter told this story to 18,000 people.
Wow.
And so what happened was he ended up becoming the first ambassador for Israel, gave up his whole career, and he said to his daughter, I'm sorry I'm not leaving you anything because I have no money. And instead she said, you left me a
state of Israel.
That's too much.
So it was the most moving. So it was all of these stories that was just incredible at APAC. We met a gentleman who was Hispanic online, who came from New Mexico, just being a hugest advocate of Israel. The two states, who knows which two states does not boycott Israel on any of the products? If you boycott Israel, they won't do business with you. Michigan, what's the other state?
South Carolina.
It's South Carolina and Alabama. They are the only two states in the country that if you try to ban doing business with Israel and boycott Israel, they will not do business with you.
So there were pastors there from the South.
Alabama, and you know why? Because they went ahead and they went into the community.
John Hagee.
They were discriminated against, so they feel the discrimination and they support based in empathy for the Jewish people.
If it weren't for the Christian people, there would be no Israel today.
Right.
That's
There
true.
were a
And
lot
they
of
got by
evangelists
far
there.
the largest group of tourists
Yeah.
to Israel, by
Very-
far.
Yeah.
The organization
John
Kufi,
Hagee is very,
Christians United for
very,
Israel, does magnificent work for that state.
can I say something? When this guy, the Jewish guy,
Eddie Jacobson?
Jacobson, went to knock on his door and he wanted to talk to him, his wife opened the door and she wouldn't allow him to come into the house. Truman had to meet him in the porch outside. She wouldn't allow a Jew to.
When Moses and Aaron, in the name of God, tell Pharaoh to let my people go, they're continuing a long line of Jewish activism. From Abraham arguing for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, to the prophet Natan rebuking King David, to Esther pleading to save the Jews of Persia, we have long depended on the righteous of our people speaking out. It is no different in our own day. When marching on Washington in support of Soviet Jewry in the 80s, or lobbying the halls of Congress for a safe and secure Israel today, the Jewish community works to make the line in our Haggadah. Can you read that?
השתה עדי לשנה הבאה גני עולם.
We are enslaved next year, may we all be free.
And that tradition of activism is not just on our own behalf. You see in synagogues around the country, a concern about the people who are poor. Wherever there are people in need and suffering, the Jewish community rushes to their aid. Something that we can all be proud of.
The people are coming from Syria, they are wounded, Israel built a temporary hospital in the north, the Golan, and they are helping.
You went there?
Okay, Dad, you want to,
When did you go?
3 years.
You want to read some more of this, or we don't?
How did you get this done?
Ron brought it.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Okay, the numbers are lit.
Okay, so let's do
I'm
the
gonna
title.
steal one.
You don't need to leave them all here, I'll make one for you.
We are
On page,
You have to say Kiddush.
yeah,
Could you print this
on
from your
page
office?
20.
20.
Or I did print.
21.
have wine?
Does everybody have wine?
or?
Yep.
Okay.
Who would like to lead in the,
The Kohen Gadol.
Alfred?
No, please, go ahead.
You go.
Alfred.
Alfred.
ברשותכם, יום השישי, ויחול השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתה אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתה אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתה אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות, צב רבנן, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העם ורוממנו מכל לשון וקדשנו ומסתיו ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה שבת ומנוחה ומועדים ושמחה חגים זמנים לסמן את יום השבת הזה ואת יום חג המסעוד הזה זמן חורתנו באהבה מגלה חודש זכר לצאת מצרים כי בנו בחרתם אותנו קדשנו מכל העמים ושבת מועדי קודשך באהבה ורצון